Got it.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Tracy.
And I am one of your hosts, Corwin Heller.
And welcome to the show. It is September 22nd, quarter to 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. And that means, folks, that the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays are facing off for in the, I guess, mid-afternoon game for what has some rather severe consequences for the state of the American League wild card spots. And we've mentioned it several times, and honestly, we're probably going to keep bringing it up every episode until it is fully decided, because this is just fucking way too fascinating. And that is that, as it stands today, it is still a very tight race for who gets that spot, which is shocking considering how poorly the Yankees have played. But the Yankees are 6-4 in the last 10, and Boston and Toronto are both 7-3. As it stands right now, Boston is a game and a half above Toronto in the standings, and the Yankees are only half a game back. So that means that if Toronto loses this game, I should say, they will be tied with the Yankees for a wild card spot. And if the Yankees go on to win their game, which starts about an hour and a half from the time you're listening to this podcast, or the time that we're recording this podcast, I should say, the Yankees will once again own a playoff spot, which really feels very improbable because of how they had been playing for the entire month of September.
It's quite the tight race, and my goodness, I can't remember the last time it was this active and, variable with so many teams involved. Mostly because I have a goldfish memory, but hey, that's what counts, right?
Also, this late in the season, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen a bunch of, maybe mid-August or definitely early August, ties for wildcard spots where it's like, who's going to pull away in the next month and a half or down the stretch or whatever. And you look at it and it's like, yeah, I mean, all right, and someone's going to, like, I don't give a fuck. And this really came about maybe 2 weeks ago, like during September, when Toronto really went on their run and the Yankees fell off after theirs and entered us into the situation that we're in now. Obviously, Oakland and Seattle are still kind of there, but I think they're probably not long for this playoff race, since I don't know where their wins would come from. Because for them to take over, let's say Toronto, since they're actually in a playoff spot, Toronto would have to lose at least 3 net games and Oakland would have to win them. The problem is that the Toronto Blue Jays have to play teams like the Yankees, which means that if the Toronto Blue Jays, let's say, lost 3 games and all 3 were to the Yankees, well, then the net loss for teams ahead of Oakland in the wildcard standings wasn't really there, because they kind of just transferred from one AL team to the other AL team and doesn't really serve Oakland or Seattle much. So while I guess technically they are still in it because they have not been mathematically eliminated, they probably would be pretty soon, is my guess. But anywho, I can't think of a time that this just didn't happen. There are 10 games left in the season. Like, that's how close we are to the end here.
There's the same amount of games left in the college football season. How's that?
Gross and disgusting.
What are your predictions? What's your prediction for how it plays out?
So I was actually, I had a slight bit of time and a little more curiosity today at work about what it would have to take for this to for like the Yankees to overtake. And the problem is it would take a lot, again, because of the same thing I just described with the whole Oakland and Toronto situation. So like, all right, let's say that your hope is to pass Toronto. All right, well, that means that they're going to have to lose a lot of games, and they might have to end up losing games to teams like Boston. Now, if you catch Boston or not, doesn't really matter. You get into the playoffs either way if you take the wild card 2 spot. But it might be more challenging because you might not have the same, but like, so Boston loses its games to Toronto. It does you no good because Toronto's still ahead of you. And then you have to still catch up to Boston anyway. So their best chance would be for Toronto to lose to Boston and just hope that, I guess, Boston runs a train on them in their series, and kind of the way everyone's treating Tampa right now. You know, like you've got probably 99% of Yankees fans rooting for Tampa Bay in this Rays Jays game, because you need the Rays are going to win the division no matter what, and you need the losses on Toronto's side. So it would take a whole fuck ton of wins. We'll start with that against not great opponents, but some pretty damn good ones, especially with that final closing series against Tampa, which I bought tickets to. I have 2 tickets to the last game of the Yankee season on October 3rd. And I bought them after they went on like their really shitty run after the good one. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go see a baseball game. Like, this probably won't mean anything. It might come down to that game now. Like, that is 10% of the remaining games I'm going to.
That's a great statistic right there. That's exactly why numbers are meaningless.
Oh yeah. So all right, actual prediction. I think the standings you see today are probably what I'm a pessimist at heart from years of being a Jets fan. So my pessimistic take is that the Yankees will not make the postseason. Giving the opportunity for the Yankees to do something meaningful in a 10-game stretch has been something we've said all season for the Yankees to only disappoint time and again. So I don't know why it would be any different here.
27 world championships.
I'm talking about this season, Corwin.
Yeah,
Not
but the New York
time.
Yankees, time and time again. You can't say time and time again with the Yankees.
I said
that phrase
this
is the only one not allowed. Yeah,
time
but
and again
then
this
but
season.
then you say time and time again.
Still implicative of this year, not all time. Obviously,
Don't
does not
say
refer to like the
implicative.
27.
You can't just throw 10 letters at me and assume I'm going to know them all in that order. Come on.
Fuck your shit up in Scrabble, boy.
I am not bad at Scrabble. I am fucking horrible at Boggle. Ooh.
Oh, dude. When I play against my mother, we have to, anybody who plays against my mother, we have to give her like a 40-point handicap, and she still wins. Yeah, dude, it's fucking disgusting.
Your mother does strike me as that person who is just Rain Man when it comes to like Scrabble. And
dude, she is a fucking word bird. Like, when we play, it's like, all right, I have to try to make it to 30 before you make it to 75, and she'll still win. It's ridiculous.
Isn't it the most satisfying thing in the world when you beat your parents who are very good at a certain game at said game?
Oh, sure. I beat my dad at Risk. I beat my mother at Scrabble. I beat my grandparents at Scrabble. I will never beat my mother at Boggle. It has never happened, and it absolutely will never happen.
My
family doesn't play with her anymore. I'm the only one that even plays with her anymore.
We won't play like standard board games with my dad because he's just we'll get into it. But he is a Hearts addict. Like, he'll play 2 or 3 games of Hearts on his computer every day. Like, he'll play one at lunch, he'll play one before dinner, and then usually one right before bed. Just plays Hearts nonstop. And I still have saved the scorecard we kept, the little piece of paper where we wrote down the tally of all the points that we scored, saved from the first time I beat him at Hearts. I love it.
I remember the first time I thought I was going to beat my dad at Hearts, and then he neglected to tell us at any point during our childhood until it became convenient that you can shoot the moon in Hearts. Mm-hmm. And we were like, I'm smoking this bitch. And then he was like, guess what? Hidden rule. And we're like, fuck you. I'm 9. Why would I have known this?
Just imagining my 9-year-old self just being told, I did the exact opposite of what everyone else has been trying to do all game. So now I'm giving everyone else 26 points or taking 26 away from me.
Absolutely sounds like something
magical.
Somebody made up on the spot because they got really salty.
Yep. But that's the exact reason why we don't play board games with my dad.
I won. I got all.
No. I don't have 26 of these points. They just didn't happen. But my dad will do the same thing where he doesn't.
Points to you. Sorry.
He doesn't ever explain the rules to a game until those rules come up in anything, no matter how many times we played it. He'll just be, 3/4 of the way through a game of Monopoly and be like, no, you don't get the free parking. We're not doing it that way. It's like, we've been playing it that way in this game for 3 hours, and now you're just going to change the rules or come up with something else for why someone else, exactly what I'm talking about. It's just,
Yeah. It's like
a
the bulk
nightmare.
rule. It's like, look, man, I've been doing this. I've been throwing this baseball the same way for 20 years. And now you're going to walk over here from third and tell me I did something crazy. And no one else saw it. No one knows what this is. You're just going to bust out this archaic rule? A bulk?
It's the original baseball copy pasta.
It is a very good one. Anyway, so back to baseball, back to the standings. I am pessimistic about the Yankees' odds. I guess. Yeah, I'll put it. I hate to be the guy who goes like, at this point, I don't know, we'll see. Because that's usually who I am as a person, because I know I can't predict anything, and that the randomness of life will consume me at some point, and I will be made to look like a fool. No one wants to end up on freezing cold takes on Twitter. No one wants to be that guy. I'd rather say nothing than be that one of those screenshots. I'm a coward at heart.
I'm a coward. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's tough to see at this point. Obviously, you can say, like, if the Yankees put everything together and they start hitting when they're pitching and they start pitching when they're hitting, they can do it. And it's like, well, yeah, fucking no shit. Every team in the world could win games if they did that. Obviously, the Yankees roster is very talented and underperforming all season. We all fucking know. The problem is that they haven't really put it together for. They in spurts. They put it together in spurts. This would be a spurt, but I wouldn't want to bank on that spurt. So I would say Red Sox and Blue Jays, but I'd be pretty fucking happy if the Blue Jays didn't make it. I gotta say.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with you. I really just hate seeing the Red Sox succeed. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't like them. I have no reason not to like them. I just don't like them. But I think the Blue Jays do get in. I think they sneak in there for that last spot. And I guess it's going to end up being the Red Sox just because their end of season schedule is the easiest. I mean, they have the tough matchup with the Yankees, but even if they get swept, I think there's still enough wins there for them to squeeze in. I think they'll be the wild card too, but yeah.
So looking at how the Yankees have played, their batting splits for by month, I guess I should say, in April, March. So we have talked about TOPS plus before. That's your own OPS plus against the split that we're looking at. There's also SOPS plus, which is how your split compares to the league. So I want to use SOPS plus. So
is that the one that we did last time that I got confused about?
No, that was TOPS plus.
Sure. Okay.
It's all the same shit.
Kind of.
Yeah. So in April, March, they were 103 SOPS plus hitting team. So that's just means that they were 3% better than the league as a whole in the months of April and March. May, they were 89. It's not great. June, 113. Wonderful. July, 91. Not great. August, 112. Wonderful. So far in September, they've been at 96, which by TOPS plus, which again is referential to yourself, is perfectly average. 100. So they're hitting mediocre, I guess one could say. Their pitching has stepped up stepped back, I should say, in a pretty big way though, which is what makes this a little bit troubling. So the SOPS plus of their pitching staff by month. Now for pitching, it still displays it as batting stats on Baseball Reference. So you actually want lower numbers instead of higher numbers, because it means that your opponents have been batting poorly against you, is the way to think about it. Kind of like ERA minus. So In April and March, the OPS plus of the pitching staff was 80, so that's pretty good. In May, it was 84. That's pretty good too. June 105. All right, not ideal. Whatever. July 74. That's fucking great. August 81. Also great. And so far in September, it's been 108, which is not. That's the worst month of the season so far. Their OPS allowed is 773. That's rough. So I have some more stats breaking out all the teams, but looking at just the Yankees, it's you're hitting below average this month and you're pitching below average this month. And obviously this has been a really fucking rough month for the team, but I mean, why you should expect the complete turn on its head to making yourself all of a sudden good, I have no idea,
Yeah, I, like always, also have no idea.
You know what? Let's have some fun. Where do you think? So I just read you some numbers there. Where do you think the Yankees pitching staff lands in terms of ERA against all of baseball for the month of September? Like placement wise.
20th.
No, 20th would be. Whoa. Oh, I have it backwards. Okay, that makes more sense. I was going to say, wow, that doesn't make any sense. All right. In that case, close. 17. 20th would be the Mets. In the month of September. Right. Yeah, right. In the month of September, the Yankees have a 4.42 ERA, and the Mets, just because Corwin picked it, have a 4.58 ERA.
What's the Padres?
Do you want to hurt yourself? I mean, all right, I'm going to give you 3 teams. All right. The Padres are somewhere within these 3 teams, and I want you to guess where. All right. Your teams are the Padres, the Rangers, and the Cubs. What order do you think these teams are from best to worst in ERA? These are not 3 teams to be associated
Cubs,
with.
Rangers, Padres.
Rangers, Padres, Cubs.
Opposite. No, not opposite. Completely wrong.
Yeah, wrong all around. The Padres have the 28th best ERA in baseball in the month of September. Another way of putting that is 3rd worst. It is 5.63. It is really fucking bad. They have a negative 0.6 pitching WAR in the month of September. And if you're wondering where that ranks, it's the worst, actually. It is dead last. It is below the Orioles.
Okay. Now let's do offense.
Sure. So Yankees 17th, and I guess while we're here, might as well. Padres 28th in ERA. So let's look at WRC plus, unless you'd rather look at something different. I think probably the easiest thing to look at. In the month of September, Yankees are 16th in WRC plus, sitting at a nice, tidy, even 100. So literally fucking average. How's the teams above them in the standings doing? Well, Toronto has the best WRC plus in baseball in the month of September so far, with a 145.
Runs in 7 innings really helps that number.
Really fucking does. And Boston is 4th in all of baseball in that time with a 121 team WRC plus in the month of September. So not looking great. Now, Corwin, where do you think your Padres are?
I think they're dead last.
They are not dead last. That would be the Angels. 73.
Yikes.
Yeah. With Shohei Ohtani. I know he hasn't been great the month of September in terms of batting, where he was in like August, but still he's pretty fucking good. And 73 is okay. So no, not dead last.
Complete tangent. Do you think if Shohei Ohtani just really continues to stumble through September and Votty pushes to win the Triple Crown?
No.
Not that you would, but do you think it would be a close match?
No.
Okay.
I'm not even gonna Kanye and let you finish here. Absolutely not. Like no fucking chance. Like Ohtani could walk out in the pitcher's mound tomorrow at Angel Stadium and say, America fucking blows. You're all horrible. My teammates are trash. My coaches are trash. All the
Well, that one's
owners are
right.
trash. All the writers are trash. I'm going back to Japan, and you can shove every ounce of America right up your own ass. Fuck yourselves. Bye. And he would still win MVP.
And then there would still be guys just sitting off in the stands like, wow, can you believe he pitches and hits and talks shit on America? This guy can do it all. He's got my
That
vote.
guy has a sub-3 ERA.
This guy fucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there's literally nothing he could do where people wouldn't give him the MVP, barring like felonies. So yeah, I think we can wash our hands of that whole conversation. Now you have to answer.
Trevor Bauer would not even be the best pitcher who is kicked out of the league for a felony this season. Way to be, Trevor Bauer. You suck.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. All right. So they're not the worst in all of baseball. They're not great. It's an 88 WRC plus, which is 23rd in baseball in the month of September for your Padres.
Okay.
Now, where's that put them in reference to the teams, I guess, also vying for playoff spots? Well, it's actually one spot ahead of Cincinnati, who is 24th with an 87 WRC plus. Your real problem is St. Louis, who owns the 12th best WRC plus in the month of September with a 102, which isn't phenomenal, but it's a fuck lot better than the Padres are doing right now. And that's the problem.
At this point, I don't even know if it's worth spending time talking about the race because I just don't see how the Padres can mentally turn it around.
I didn't realize they were behind Philly now.
They have been the worst team in baseball. They like mathematically have been the worst team in baseball over the past month, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Wow. That's fucking, I can't believe. No, obviously, I think you have to issue a small caveat that the Padres play in the National League West, whereas the Phillies playing in the National League East. And ooh, boy, howdy, are those two very different divisions. But, ooh, God, that's bad. And, oh, yeah. How many wins do you think the Padres have in the month of September?
5.
So they're 5-12, which is actually their lowest loss total since June. And they also lost 12 games, but in June they also won 15.
They were still hot at the start of June. Kind of. Yeah, baseball.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll get to these Padres in a moment because I wanted to
at least they're not the Pirates.
Oh, the Pirates have more wins than them in the month of September. So
yeah, but Padres still have hope. They had expectations, which the Pirates actually blew past theirs. But yeah,
I want to save at least a little bit of Padres talk because I have a whole thing for them in like a minute. All right, so shut the fuck up.
I do that. I do that well.
So I want final record predictions 10 games out, and this is something maybe we'll also do every time we record as the number of games winnows away and we see how the performance of these teams actually goes. So let's start with I guess the Yankees. So their current record, hold on, is 85-67. All right. And again, if you're listening to this tomorrow, which there's no way you could listen to it any earlier, that's when the episode comes out, then you know what happens with this game. We obviously don't, the one that they're playing tonight, but so they are, like I said, 85-67. They have one game against the Rangers, tonight's game, and then 3 against the Red Sox, 3 against the Blue Jays, 3 against Tampa Bay. Those are their remaining 10 games. What do you think their record is in their last 10 games?
I think they go 4-6.
4-6. Okay. So, quick, easy math. That would put them at 89-73. The Red Sox, in their 10 games remaining, they have a game tonight against the Mets, and then 3 games against the Yankees, 3 games against the Orioles, and then 3 games against the Washington Nationals. Just a weird way to close out your season against a National League team. Feels like that shouldn't happen. But anyway, in their last 10 games, what do you think their record is?
Their last 10? Oh, stupid. 6-4.
Okay. So with the Red Sox current record of 87-65, as 6-4 would have them at 93-69. So we're at the Yankees with 89 wins, the Red Sox with 93 wins. Finally, that gives us the Blue Jays, who in their final 10 games, actually, they have 11 games remaining. Their game against the Rays, which actually, no, they have 10 games remaining. They're losing this game against the Rays. It's happening right now. It's not going to go well. So in their last 10 games, they have 4 games against the Twins, 3 games against the Yankees, and 3 games against the Orioles. In their last 10 games, how do you think they fare?
I think they go 7-3.
All right. Well, with their current record of what will be 85-67, the same record as the Yankees right now, because again, there's no way Toronto's winning this game. I keep saying that, and watch as they pull off some weird 10-run ninth. Who fucking knows? Going 7-3 would put them at 92-69, which would be 92-70, which would put them 1 game behind the Red Sox, and that would put them 3 games above the Yankees in the standings. So I think those are probably pretty fair. I might actually go so far as to say the Yankees could reasonably go 6-4 in their remaining games. Because if they did that, they would still miss the wild card, which would feel realistic to me, since
Baseball.
Yeah, that's really what I was all I had.
Baseball.
What's hilarious though is when we next record, when we'll be recording on Saturday, so we'll miss part of the Red Sox series. So maybe even the episode after the Red Sox series, because this is how stupid this game is. So let's say the Yankees win tonight. All right, just for the sake of math. So that's 86 wins, and Boston's playing tonight. Let's fuck it. Let's say they win too. That's 86 wins for the Yankees, 88 wins for the Red Sox. If the Yankees go into Boston, which I'm not saying they will, and sweep, they own the wild card 1, essentially, depending on what Toronto does. Because that would give them 89 wins to Boston's 88, and the loss column would match up accordingly because they have the same number of games played. That's how ridiculously close this conversation is. Like, one single series sweep, which when it happened against the Yankees several times earlier this season, you go, well, that fucking blows, but whatever. It's April, or who cares? But now, I mean, if the Yankees were to go into Boston and sweep, which again, absolutely not saying they would, those two teams have had very different trajectories for the month of September, they'd be the wild card 1. Whereas Corwin and I are talking about them scraping up a possibility of even making it in the first place. It is going to be a wild next couple of weeks.
I concur.
All right. So let's talk about these Padres, because I think we've exhausted the and I'll never get tired of talking about it, but I think we've momentarily exhausted the conversation on the AL East wildcard standings. So, Corwin, shall we talk about the Padres?
I suppose.
Because, and there's going to be so much fodder for articles and think pieces about this come the off season. We know it's coming because there's never been a team that was hyped up more, that started off so strong and then finished so poorly. This is not the same case as the Cleveland Browns, where for, it seemed like every offseason for 3 off seasons or 4 off seasons, there would be some type of they're turning it around type of thing, only for them to fall flat in their face, week 4. The Padres were actually very well positioned for a playoff spot before they ultimately fell to complete fucking ruin at some point during the season. So this will obviously become a larger conversation post-mortem, but just for a glance at how we kind of got here, I figured maybe we could go month to month by batting and pitching stats and just kind of take a peek at how their performance shifted. We're not going to have a good answer as to why yet. That'll come later, but we can at least take a look at the what, I suppose. So you ready to get into it?
Not really, but yes.
All right. So we're starting off at the top, March, April. All right. They combine those on all your favorite stats sites because it's easy, because March doesn't have a lot of games. No one gives a shit. March and April. Padres, they got Yu Darvish, they got Blake Snell, two of the biggest acquisitions of the offseason. Where do you think they stand in the ERA standings for the early goings?
Joe Musgrove's no hitter helps. I'll say they're top 5.
Literally number 1.
Yeah.
Best ERA in all of baseball in the months, I guess, of March and April. A 2.87 ERA, 4.4 WAR for the month. The team went 15 and 12 in terms of decisions, not in terms of record, because these are pitching stats, with 11 saves, 245 innings pitched, a K per 9 of 11.17, a walks per 9 of 2.9, home run to fly ball ratio of 14. There's more stats. But yeah, I mean, just a ridiculously good. And, their FIP was 3.47, which is obviously higher than their ERA, but it's still a very fucking good FIP. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were crazy outperforming. Like that's good. Now let's turn it over to the offensive side for those early months. And what's your impression of the early Padres offense?
Started very slow.
Which a lot of teams do. I mean, so the Padres are the 13th best offense in the month of April. Oh, I mean, with a 93 WRC plus.
Okay.
The problem is, if you had an average WRC plus of 100, you were tied for 6th best offense. So, yeah.
Stats are weird sometimes.
Well, and don't forget, we had 2 no-hitters in this month, like 3.
7?
Like, it was a crazy month for lack of offense. Shout outs to the Detroit Tigers with the worst WRC plus in the month of April, 63. Oh, let's also see the worst ERA in the month of April. Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, 5.19. All right.
That's really bad, but also very much in line with what I would expect out of the Angels.
On brand.
Yeah.
Definitely on brand. All right, so let's take it into the month of May. All right, a little bit more into the season. People are getting their bearings. The San Diego Padres keep fucking rolling with their ERA. They dropped 1 spot in terms of overall performance, but actually dropped down their ERA, going from a 2.87 to a 2.69 in the month of May. They lose 1 spot to the Chicago Cubs of all fucking teams, with a 2.52 team ERA. But the pitching keeps fucking rolling. Decision-wise, 19-9, collected 9 saves through 251.1 innings. Really, did their fucking work. And the offense, where did the Padres offense go? I just had it. Fuck me. Oh, sorry. There it is. Starts picking up both in terms of raw WRC plus by the numbers and in terms of their standings. They go up from the 13th spot to the 11th spot, increasing their WRC plus from 93 up to 99. So still below average as it will shake out, but altogether starting to pick up some of the pieces there.
Yes, picking up the pieces of our lives.
Pick up the pieces. For some average white band for you. And in the month of May, they, as a team, went 19. Oh, actually, maybe it's not decisions. Maybe it is just a raw record. All right, we'll roll with that then. 19-9 the month of May. It's pretty fucking good.
It's a very good record.
Yes, it is. All right, so let's get it rolling. The last month of the first half of the season, that is June, and by this point, by the end of this month, the sticky stuff, substance stuff ban will be in effect. So we're getting a little bit of that, but not too much. And this is probably where we can pinpoint the Padres' ultimate demise. So they go from the month of May, a 2.69 ERA. Corwin, do you have any impression of where their ERA would end up in the month of June?
What was it in May?
2.69.
I'll say 3.4.
4.23.
Holy moly.
Now, it might go slightly unnoticed because they picked up 15 wins in the month on the back of 12 losses. They had 9 saves. Their strikeouts were way down. The strikeouts per 9 went to 9.5, whereas the previous month it was, I guess 9.6, but you see those strikeouts from the month of March at 11.7, 11.17, and you go, well, fuck. But yeah, that 4 ERA is bad, and it drops them down from having the second best ERA in baseball by the month down to 14th best ERA in baseball in the month of June. So middle of the road, you could at least say to yourself, but obviously far from ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we think about the Padres batting, though, in that month, it's still getting better, which covers up for a lot of what the pitching is doing. And to a certain extent, as your batting gets better, you might see some shakier pitching stats, because if you start off a game 8-0 after 2, well, if that holds after 5-6 innings, you're not bringing in good relievers. You're bringing in slop. And so you might win some games 8-5 that look like maybe they were close, when in reality, it never really was. And you let some random reliever that you're trying out, or you didn't want to use a good guy, go out there, give up 3 runs and figure some shit out for a while,
Right.
So it might go relatively unnoticed. So in that month, sorry, I don't think I actually ever said it. The Padres as a team batted to the tune of a 109 WRC plus. Now, walking over 10% of the time, 10.1% of the time to be precise. They had 43 home runs, which is just a fucking ton. They killed it, right? So you head into the sticky stuff ban, the substance ban, with a relatively mixed bag, but all together, I wouldn't think you're afraid at this point, right? Do you recall your June feeling of the Padres? You're probably still rolling pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still fully believing that, they're going to be fighting the Dodgers for the conference lead, or for, all of baseball lead, rather than what had happened with, the Giants and everyone else.
Right. All right. So now we're in July.
Yes, we are.
All-Star game is come and gone this month. The Giants are clearly for real, as they have not lost a step. The Dodgers, of course, are also proving to be exactly who they should be and are. They have not lost a step. And the Padres situation seems to be worsening by the day. They finished the month with the 20th best ERA in baseball, really falling off a cliff here, as their team ERA falls down to 4.78. I guess rises to 4.78, however you want to think about it in your head. Which is raising a lot of eyebrows, especially because it's not September where you can maybe say people are tired out. It's July. There is a lot of season left. Now, the Padres offense is still doing some relatively good work here. They finished 9th in WRC plus for the month of July with a 109 WRC plus. They're still walking a whole bunch, and they're hitting a lot fewer home runs, only 30 in the month as compared to the 43 they hit the month prior. But home runs seem to be generally down for the league at this point for this month for whatever reason. So maybe you can forgive that a little bit. But by the numbers, they're not doing horribly offensively. And when you look at the month of July on the record, or in terms of wins and losses, an 11-14 record is, you're going to have some losing months in a season. It's going to happen. So a differential of 3, all right, is what it is. But that differential of 3 means that for June and July combined, you basically played 500 ball. No, not basically. You played 500 ball. You went 26 and 26 in those 2 months. Mm-hmm. And that is far from a win the division pace. So that takes us into August. So looking at August. Whoop. Corwin, where are the Padres in the month of August for ERA?
Worst in baseball, 28th.
Not worst in baseball. That will always and forever be the Baltimore Orioles with their 7.43 team ERA in the month. The Padres basically hold steady. They finished 19th in baseball that month, 4.44 team ERA, which is bad, very bad. Where are the teams they're chasing? You might wonder. Well, the Dodgers have the best team ERA in baseball that month, and the Giants have the second best team ERA in baseball in that month. So, it's getting scary for the Padres for their division hopes, but maybe you're hanging on to some, wild card hopes. You kind of, you must have foreseen at least a little bit of this because of how stacked this division is and all that shit. So the idea that you might be finishing in a wild card spot, well, kind of sucks. I mean, beating the Dodgers out for the division was a long shot that you were hoping for, but you knew was a sincere possibility you wouldn't get, right?
Yes.
Now, the real problem in that month, and I know it might be startling when I say the real problem, because I just said that they had the 19th best, or another way of putting that is 12th worst ERA in baseball, is the offense in the month of August, as they went from being a top 10 offense to being 25th in baseball by WRC plus, 86. That puts them below the Texas Rangers, below the Miami Marlins, below the New York Mets, just one single point above the Kansas City Royals. It's ugly. Fucking ugly. And it shows somewhat in the standings. Despite these bad numbers, the Padres do still manage to win 11 games. They lose 15. So now over this 3-month stretch of June, July, August, they are in the whole 4 games. But all things considered, with this fall off only being 4 games in a deficit, maybe isn't the worst thing, because that's truly tragic.
Yeah.
But that then brings us into September, which we talked about a little bit right before we started with all this, where in September and October, the Padres have the 3rd worst ERA in baseball, where they own that really, really beautiful 5.63 ERA. And they have the 23rd worst WRC plus in baseball with 88. And that's been their real problem, because in the month of September, again, 5 wins on 12 losses. And it's not even just that. It's that the Cardinals decided they wanted to make the postseason and have been running for it. It's the fact that no one ever really pulled away in the NL East, and you have the Phillies on your back. And if the Phillies were to somehow pass the Braves, you have the Braves right there too then. And the fact that the Cincinnati never really went away. They climbed up pretty late on and managed to at least hang around. And the Padres have lost ground. And it's been both fronts. Obviously, the pitching has gotten a lot of note because of their because of the sticky stuff ban, and it seems to time up very well. And so you're going to get picked on a little bit for that. The offense ain't fucking there either, though. And that's probably the bigger problem with them right
now. That's what I would say, just because at least with the pitching, it's because of injuries. With the hitting, it's just guys just giving up and seemingly just are completely out of it mentally. I mean, you've seen it in the dugout, you've seen it on the field. Like it just is seemingly over for the Padres this season, which by all means, that's not the end of the world. But from a team standpoint, that is not fun. You don't want to be seeing that kind of attitude. You know?
It's because it translates to the stat sheet, man.
Yeah.
That's the fucking shit of it. And it's so incredibly difficult going into an off season to know what to prioritize more. And I think everyone's gut reaction would be pitching. And we've talked about it many times on the show. You can never stop improving your pitching. I mean, never. There's never going to be a point where you go, do we have too much pitching? It'll never happen. But if the offense also isn't there, and yeah, we can say that, Eric Hosmer is a black hole of success. He's just bad. You've been, Fernando Tatis Jr. got hurt for a while. And, you're seeing some side effects of that maybe. And who else has been bad? Victor Caratini's not good. Jurickson Profar and Ha-Seong Kim have been bad. Adam Frazier turned into a pumpkin once he showed up here. There's a lot of those guys. I don't know if you
mentioned Aaron Nola, but he just hit his second home run of the season.
Austin Nola?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Nola is the pitcher in Philadelphia.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He throws the baseball and does not hit the baseball.
Well, Austin Nola throws the baseball now and again.
Back to the guy who really throws the baseball. Yeah. He overhand tosses the baseball. I see. Man, the home run count for people on this team not named Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado is pretty shocking. There is one other 20 home run hitter, and that is Jake Cronenworth, and then it's nobody else.
Not what I would have expected out of the season.
Hosmer has 11. Tommy Pham has 15. Grisham has 14. Myers has 17. No one else has double digits.
God.
Yeah. So there's 7 guys on the team with double-digit home runs, and that's it.
Oh God, the Padres, man! I'm so excited for next year, but it's gonna be hard watching playoff baseball this year.
Oh yeah, like the Yankees, for all of their woes this season, which includes offensive woes, they at least have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys with double-digit home runs. Brett Gardner, who is 1 shy from hitting his double-digit mark. Urshela 3 away, which would be fun, but I wouldn't count on it. Sorry, not Urshela, Gleyber Torres, which would be fun, but I'm not counting on it. But man, the Padres need more out of those guys.
Yeah.
As I'm saying, it might be tough to know exactly where to go on that front in the offseason because you have a lot of big contracts. Again, looking at you, which is why, again, I can't believe they didn't move Hosmer at the offseason or at the trade deadline.
I think a lot of it had to do with not being willing to give up some of the premier prospects that we do have that are going to be, major players.
Right. I mean, that's the whole reason they didn't do it, but they should have.
They probably should have. Short term, long term, I don't want to answer that or attempt to.
So it's going to be very interesting what the Padres choose to address in the offseason. Again, obviously, it is very, very fair and just to say pitching. It will always be fair. It might also be interesting because, Darvish has been just awful as of late. And he's also slowly getting old. And man, that's fucking weird. Since he's now 35 and it's like, well, you maybe need a backup plan of starting pitcher and the bullpen's rough. And Chris Paddock still looks like he hasn't really figured it out. So there'll probably be some of that. And then it's like, what do you want to do with this offense, man? Of the 3 highest paid offensive players on the team, one of them is a fucking awful ball player. and the other two are great, but one of them is really, really bad.
I'm honestly not too worried about the offense coming back next year. I feel like they'll be able to come back, regain at least some of their form, and still perform well. The concern for me is, God, can pitching improve and can they stay healthy? Health is the biggest thing. Even if they're not how they were starting this season, I think if they're healthy, that can do enough.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I guess that's really it. We'll see how their season finishes up, but they are now 3 teams removed from a playoff spot. So I hate to issue a death sentence right now, but it seems remarkably unlikely. They are 5 games back entirely, actually, of the Cardinals, and with 10 games, that is
possible. That's straight up impossible.
Very fucking unlikely. Yeah, I mean, I said there was no chance Oakland would fucking get it, and they're 2.5 games back now that the Blue Jays officially lost. We can say, and their record is identical to the Yankees at 85 and 67. Oh, actually, technically, that the Yankees, I guess, for tiebreaker reasons, are in the wild card 2 spot, which I didn't realize would happen. So that's interesting. We'll see what they do with that information and knowledge tonight, in a short 40 minutes. See if they put it together. Corwin, you got anything else before we sign off?
It'll be exciting to see 2 rookie quarterbacks take the field for the first time this season. First time in their careers. Right. Yeah,
totally forgot.
Justin Fields finally taken over for Andy Dalton and the Bears. Finally, because it's been a clear choice since the start of training camp.
None of us saw coming.
Yeah, no kidding.
No one thought this day would ever come.
So it's going to be exciting to see that. I'm looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, the biggest storyline is Davis Mills is getting his first start in the NFL. And my goodness, I am excited to see that man take the world by storm.
What college is he from?
Cal.
California?
Yeah. I think it's Cal.
I'm genuinely shocked you didn't have this on
Stanford.
You can go fuck you.
The other California team.
Yes, California, notable for having but 2 colleges.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the Texans perform, who are 2-0, 1-1. Fuck, what's the Texans' record right now?
2-0, 1-2, 1-1. Matt?
They're definitely not 1-2. It is week 3.
Yes, it is. Shut up.
Hold on. I promise we like this sport.
I do, at least.
Fuck you. I like this sport too.
I'm not saying you. Okay. All right.
1-1. They are 1-1. Yeah. So it'll be interesting in seeing how they perform, because it's been a big change for the Texans in terms of personnel in the coaching staff recently. So, and it seems to be doing well. Not that Tyrod Taylor is like some piece of slop quarterback that they're trotting out there who just happens to be winning shit. Like he's earned every starting job he's ever gotten. But I don't think anyone projected them to even collect this first win as early as they did. So yeah, literally. So it'll be very interesting to see how Davis Mills does, also considering the fact that the Texans, I'm not saying they're going to make the fucking playoffs, but they're definitely playing at a higher level than I think anybody thought they would coming out of the gate.
There goes my prediction. 1 down, 9 to go.
That's the spirit. All right. Yeah. And shout outs to Justin Fields. A thing we all saw coming, but we're all still happy to actually see be official.
Couldn't describe it better myself.
Yep. Sometimes good news that you expect is still worth celebrating. So there you go.
Yeah. Astute. Take us away.
Take me from this place. Daddy, I'm scared. All right. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at Juicing Pod. If you'd like to follow Corwin on Twitter, you can do so at Corwin Hell. If you'd like to follow myself on Twitter, you can do so at Joshua D. Tracy. If you'd like to send emails to the show, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. And until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.